Hello and welcome once again. I'm Morgan Carter, World's Conversation Starter, and we got a hot one tonight. It's a very special pleasure to have one of my old friends. I'm reluctant to always say old friends because they may not be old people. So I'll clean it up by saying there's some very young old people and some very old young people. Anyway, it's my buddy. We're going to go from left to right and meet our special guest. And now, our co-host today.
Otis Williams. I'm the CEO at New Beginnings.
We can stretch it out a little bit.
Oh, okay. We are a
I'm asking him for a mission statement here.
Okay.
He didn't know I wanted it that quickly.
Yeah, well, you're right. We're a 501c3
nonprofit organization.
We're located on the south side of Chicago, 2259 East 73rd Street in Chicago.
All righty. And what are some of the services that you guys provide? We're going to get, don't you guys get too relaxed now. I'm going to get to you soon. He's looking at me, don't call on me. Go ahead.
We talk about society's throwaways, at the bottom of the barrel. The ex-offenders, persons who are HIV, AIDS infected, or impacted, I should say. The mentally ill and the mentally challenged, and there's a difference between the two.
So wait a minute, mentally ill means a disease, mentally challenged is maybe not having all of the capabilities. I got it.
Exactly,
okay.
exactly. And the chemically dependent that's out there, and the sex offenders, or I should say ex-offenders, and in that group you got sex offenders.
Okay.
In that group. So that's the niche that we chose. We chose the
toughest of the tough, isn't it?
Yeah. If we that particular population, those particular populations, if we don't help, they impact negatively on our communities.
Sure. To
the nth degree.
Really?
So we need to choose to say, stick our heads in the sand, or we can help them so that they don't become a drain on us financially, or when they go through the criminal justice system, we're paying for them. When they go through, when they go through
we are the fuel for the criminal justice system and a lot of other institutions.
Exactly.
We make that engine run. We have a young man here. Let's hear your name and your responsibility.
My name is Ricky Rivas, and my responsibilities, I do intake specialist, which means when they come in, I do the intake in there. Varieties of questions, of histories, backgrounds, and where they come from and stuff like that.
All right, so you get the who and the what and the where and the why.
Yeah.
Are there any parameters that would make it where someone was not part of your program, or, are there any guidelines, I guess? What are some guidelines?
Oh, there's guidelines, and it's broken down by each particular group.
Yes.
If a person is, let's say, mentally ill or mentally challenged, we try to steer clear of those who are severe. Person who is
of danger, maybe.
Yeah, trying to commit suicide, banging their head to such an extent that they could cause serious brain damage. The person's chemically dependent if he's just been out on a run and smoked enough crack to kill a bull elephant. And then we need to send him to detox before we take him in, because he'll steal everything, including the stove and the refrigerator. And the person who is HIV or AIDS impacted, as long as they're ambulatory, we will take them.
Ambulatory means they can walk.
They're able to walk.
Yeah.
If they're hospice stage, then they need to be in a different environment because they need special medical attention.
You're giving us a lot of specificity I might not have guessed. We're talking with New Beginnings, and it's kind of an interesting double entendre for a title. I've heard, what is it, First Citizens, a number of names for those that are re-entering the workforce and society, and you're right there as a bastion of hope. Let's go on to this splendidly attired gentleman. Your name is what, please?
I'm George Carroll.
All right. And George, what is your role with New Beginnings?
There's two roles I play with New Beginnings. Is the case manager and office manager.
All right. Now, I kind of know what an office manager. What does case manager mean?
Case manager is the client's. They have the client's needs.
Can you speak just a little?
I'm sorry. Case manager is an individual who does help the clients, like linkage agreements, food pantry, Social Security.
So you're plugging them into resources?
All sources and linkages that I can help the clients with.
Sure.
Like say, for example, I have clients that are HIV. I do case notes on them, and I make sure that their appointments is met, their doctor's appointments, their,
Medicine, medications, all of that.
all the whole works.
Yeah.
Department of Human Services, appointments of that nature. Social Security, I'm an advocate for Social Security as well as Department of Human Service. I maintain a level of, to making sure that the clients do what they're supposed to do and recheck on the clients. And if there's a problem that I can help them with, I will go and to the extent to make it happen.
Morgan, just a small example of what he does, and your viewers should need to know this. Public aid by and large, and I don't mean public aid at all, okay? When a person applies for a medical card, normally it takes 89 days for them to get that medical card. But public aid will not tell you that you are entitled to that medical card. Unless you know that you're supposed to get that medical card, they won't give it to you. So what George does is he calls public aid and routinely tells them, look, it's 89 days. This person is entitled to a medical card. So we draft a letter and say, look, that client is entitled to receive a T card, a temporary medical card. At that time, we've had people over a year, we've wrestled with public aid to get a simple medical card. So this is when he talks about fighting for them. These are the kinds of things that
He's
we do.
an advocate.
He's an advocate. He goes.
We all are really, but
yeah,
that's his specific
that's
job.
his right.
I'm Morgan Carter. This is another edition of World News TV. We're talking about New Beginnings, which has a nice ring to it and is very significant in terms of the ministry and mission of this organization, and Otis Williams is its head. Now, the gentleman to my left may think I left him out, but I did not. You are home, and what do you do?
My name is Shannon Williams, and I'm Chief of Staff over at New Beginning. My duties consist of basically the system that Mr. Williams has installed is maintaining it, and at the same time maybe try to come up with creative ways to add to it.
Sure.
Keep it going, keep it functioning.
All right, so you're the ops man. All right, we got that real clear. We've had occasion to work with men who are exiting prison and other institutions, and as you said, sometimes it's kind of a dovetail. An HIV patient could also have a mentally challenged, or someone who's an alcoholic might also be a sex offender. So it's like a double or triple kind of situation. In the years, how many years have you been doing it, by the way? Your hair is a lot whiter than when I first met you. But before you answer that, I once had hair and it was black. So, the pop called, you got the point. Right?
I got the point. We're in our 18th year.
Is that right?
We're in our 18th year.
Wow. I
thought about that the other day. I didn't realize that time has passed so quickly. And we fought our battles on the front. And one thing that we steadfast stayed the course in terms of helping this population. When you talk about the ex-offenders, when it was unpopular, we took in sex offenders and worked with them. We accomplished a great deal. A lot of those guys came off. A lot of those guys are living in permanent housing now, staying out of trouble, reporting on time, doing all those things. And I think one of the things, if you even ask Department of Corrections, they will say about New Beginnings, they know where their people are, they make sure they're registered, they make sure they do what they're supposed to do, and they stay out of trouble.
Sure.
So people can be able to sleep at night knowing that their children are saved, their women are saved, or whatever the case might be. That is something that we've accomplished on the long term. People have grudgingly accepted what we do, and it's taken some time, and we knew that was going to happen, but we fought the fight. Now, with the regular ex-offender coming home, IDOC only pays for a limited amount of time. Still have to get that person a job. So we still work in that area getting people jobs so that they don't end up getting sent back to the penitentiary for one reason or another. So we try to cover all the bases. We talk about a holistic approach, that's what we do.
All right.
We try to cover all the bases.
Mind, body, and spirit, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, at this time, how many people are you assisting? Do they report every day? Do they monitor? Do you have classes? How does that work?
We do a couple of things, Morgan, in that regard, because we've got transitional housing as well. Okay. We have 129 people in transitional housing. we work with 4 additional programs that we act as an umbrella for. They have their own names and what have you, but they identify with New Beginnings.
So this is like a collaboration?
Exactly. And they have to adapt their programs to our philosophy, which is drug and alcohol-free environments, clean and sober, clean environments, okay? And as a result of that, we developed a behavioral modification program for those who are mentally challenged or mentally ill. We bring them from the transitional housing programs to our particular facility, and we have physicians and psychiatrists there who provide a daily group therapy session for them. This creative therapy goes along with it, and we feed them a hot lunch every day. So consequently, we're taking people that normally would be out in the street, in the park, raising havoc. We've taken those people and now we begin to not force, but help them to do constructive things. We've had some successes, I swear to God, from the time that I've seen some people walk through that door, raising all kinds of hell, to now they,
productive, peaceful,
they're productive,
positive citizens.
right?
Yeah.
And they're helping us run the house. They're helping us to maintain order and discipline. They're helping us to. Mr. Williams, he didn't take his medication. Okay,
Keep each other on the ball, right?
That's important for a person who before medication. Are you crazy? I don't take medication. Okay, but now they're taking their medication. So consequently, they're staying out of the psych wards at the hospital, saving us money. They're staying out the nursing homes, saving us money. So these are the positive things that we do that maybe the city and state don't know about.
So Otis, it might be fair to say we're dealing, like the Bible said, with the least of these, and probably you have to have really some specialized talent and expertise to help these men to go into more of a traditional lifestyle and kind of get on their feet. Is that correct?
That's a yes and no. Ironically, our staff, when we converted over from corrections to the mentally challenged, didn't have that training. They have learned through on-the-job training, making mistakes. We walk, we talk. How can we do this? Mr. Williams, he does it. He's crazy. No, he's not crazy. He's just sick. Well, why can't you send me somebody that's okay? Why would I send you somebody that's okay? Okay people don't need us. It's the ones who are not okay that we're supposed to help. So it's taken some time for our staff to adjust to that philosophy.
Yes.
Now that they've adjusted to the philosophy, now they begin to watch and monitor people very carefully in terms of what they do, how they do it. To keep them, the simple thing like overdosing on medication. The HIPAA rules say you cannot take their medication from them because you breach their confidentiality if you do that, particularly if it's a person who is HIV. That person may not want anybody else to know they're HIV. So if you take their medication, you breach your confidentiality. Yeah. If I have cancer and I don't want you to know that I have cancer and I'm taking medication for it, but it's just me, my hang-up is I don't want you to know because I'm sick. If I take it, I'm breaching your confidentiality. I can't do that.
This is fascinating. There's so many ins and outs and nuances to what you do. We're talking now with Otis Williams and et cetera. We got 3 very capable young men, including, I understand this is your son.
Yes.
And when they say the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, he's kind of the quiet one with the stick. I can tell that. He's the ops man, see. And this is really, to see your staff is a wonderful opportunity. We want to make sure people know that you're a nonprofit 501c3 organization, almost 2 decades. I met you first on the west side, and now we're on the south side, doing good in the hood, and maybe not as well appreciated. I'd like to say before we go to a brief break, what you do, like you said, keeps our community safe, lets people sleep at night, and impacts the amount of money we have to pay for so many other things. For example, I remember an organization had a contract to find 100 young women who were outside the health system who were pregnant. 1 premature baby. and the complications thereof can run $300,000.
Oh, yeah.
So money with you is well spent, and you do accept donations, is that
Oh,
right?
yes, without question.
All right. Well, I can't talk about that too much. I can just say you can accept donations.
Yes.
All right. And I'm Morgan Carter. We're going to take a brief break, and when we return, we're going to talk more about those most in need. Maybe you want to recommend somebody, you yourself can qualify for these worthy programs.
Our beautiful South Shore community has a wonderful entity in it. It's an organization, agency that services many individuals who are suffering from social ills, suffering from homelessness, disease, and mental illness. That agency is New Beginnings. Its CEO is Otis Williams. Right now, I'm standing with Ricky Rivas, the intake specialist here at New Beginnings. Ricky, what is a typical day like here?
Well, my typical day is I come in at 8 o'clock. When I come in at 8 o'clock, I get my paperwork ready so as when the clients come, I see them one by one.
These clients, are they from many different walks of life?
These clients come from anywhere, from political group.
Political groups?
Yeah, from their siblings and family that are associated with them. They come here for help, and that's what my job is, to help.
And I understand you service substance abuse users?
Yes.
Those who are recovering?
Substance abuse, physical, mentally.
Now, we spoke earlier with Mr. Williams, your chief of staff, and he told us that these persons sometimes have mental illness and substance abuse problems. How do you deal with those persons?
Well, I don't deal with them. I do the intake. When I do the intake, they go through the process of who they got to deal. I'm the person that do the intake. When they come in, when I do the intake, they have a seat in the day room, which is basically a setting for them to relax, play games. We play.
Also, they have activities here.
They have activities.
Well, I thank you very much for helping us to identify what it is that you do. But tell us this one last question. Were you one of those persons when you first came in?
Yes, I was.
You were trained by Otis Williams himself?
Yes, and his chief of staff. Yes, I was.
So the training program under the Jobs Unlimited program actually works then, doesn't it, Ricky?
Yes, it does. It takes you far away.
So you see, New Beginnings does a lot more than the surface things most agency does. Good afternoon. This is Dennis Howell reporting for the Chicago Communicator newspaper. I'm with Shannon Williams, the CEO, Chief of Staff at New Beginnings Recovery Homes Incorporated. New Beginnings is located on the southeast side of Chicago, but it services the entire community and even neighboring suburbs. Now, Mr. Williams, tell us, what makes New Beginnings unique?
Well, first let me start by saying our motto, we are our brother's keepers. What makes this program unique is that we are a non-for-profit organization out to serve the community in the best ways that we can.
I've heard it said that you service the crud at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak.
Yes, we
the
do.
social liable population comprised of HIV/AIDS persons,
Yes.
persons who are homeless,
Yes.
some ex-offenders.
Yes.
And I've heard it said that you service some of those persons who are mentally ill. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
What services do you provide for those persons?
We provide anything from transitional housing to behavior modification, transportation back and forth from the housing to the program. We offer food, clothing, various necessities that any individual might be in need of.
So tell me, why is it so that there seems to be no communication to the public about New Beginning services? What's going on with that?
Well, that's what we're trying to attempt to do here now, is to get the message out, let the community know that New Beginnings is here to help. And if you're in need, please feel free to contact us.
That's a good thing, because too many people are homeless. Too many people are suffering from illnesses such as MESA, as you called it, mentally illness, substance abuse.
Yes, sir.
Persons on the street are finding it hard to find services like food, clothing, and shelter.
Yeah.
And New Beginnings has been providing this service for how long?
For 20 years.
20 years.
Yes, sir.
How many people do you service per month?
Estimate, I would say anywhere from 100 to 300 a month.
Well, there you go. John Q. Public, you have a viable community entity in the New Beginnings Recovery Homes Agency. Continue to listen to our broadcast, read our print media about New Beginnings, and learn more. you can contact us at the Chicago Communicator newspaper. We're located at 6548 South Morgan. Give us a call.
Good evening. My name is Shaka Barak, president of the Marcus Garvey Institute, and I'm sitting in, as you can see, for Morgan Carter, the world's conversation starter. He's left us and he's asked me to sit in and continue the discussion with a very significant group in our community called New Beginnings. And to my left, I have Brother Shannon Williams, who is the Chief of Staff.
Yes, sir.
My pleasure to meet you, my brother. Also, I have Brother George Carroll, who is case manager and office manager. Brother Carroll. Also, I have my Hispanic brother, Rick Vivas, and he is, or Rivas, who is the enrollment specialist. In other words, you go get them and bring them in, right?
Yeah, something like that. Do the paperwork.
And the paperwork. Also, we have with us the CEO of New Beginnings, His Honor, Otis Williams. Brother Otis?
Thank you, sir. How you doing?
It's great. It's
Good
a
evening.
pleasure. So, one of the things that they do is they help those who have went astray, that have, for whatever reason, been involved in crime and perhaps been incarcerated, or they have a drug problem, drug addiction, or they have mental illness. And so oftentimes with so many facilities being closed down and so very little resources that are being made available for the ex-offender as well as the mentally ill and the addict, there's no place to go. There's no place that they can call home except New Beginnings. And so we're going to talk about some of the things that New Beginnings is doing and proposes to do. One of the first things I want to do, Otis, is I want to look at this problem as it relates to the ex-offender and the drug addict, because the viewing audience oftentimes has very little sympathy for the ex-offender. Even cousin and uncle and aunt and sister and brother, because the ones that they oftentimes offend are the ones that are closest to them.
That's true.
And so we oftentimes have the old lock them up and throw away the key attitude. But poverty makes criminals and crooks. Ignorance does the same thing. And so we want to have some sympathy for them. But we also want to encourage them while they're young to stay away from crime, because we can't afford to have the little that we do own taken away from us, and we can't be victims of robberies and break-ins and so forth and so on. And so for that viewing audience that says, Mr. Wilson, Williams, what you're doing with New Beginnings, especially with the mentally ill, thank God that you are out there helping them. But for the victims out there who may not really have sympathy for your efforts to help those ex-offenders, Mr. Williams, what do you say to them?
Well, that's easy. If we do not exist, you do not sleep at night. You do not sleep at night. You worry about your car, and you worry about your garage and break-ins and everything else. If we take that person off the street, and we know where that person is, and we put them into a structured environment, and we start to work on the ails and ills that are within that person, then, and we start to, we really rehabilitate them within the community that they live and make them responsible for their actions in a very different way that is non-threatening to those around them. Example, we've been at this for 20 years, close to 20 years, okay? If I told you about every case of a mob chief that I took into the program, and I didn't know they were chiefs when they came in, they were addicts, doing everything under the sun, but I took a lot of those guys in the process, turned them over, and made them rethink that the drug policy that they had instituted in the neighborhood with people selling drugs need to be changed. We need a different philosophy. And you say you're a chief. Okay, fine. You're here, but they're still out there raising havoc. If you buy into the concept that we have, New Beginnings as a change in lifestyle, stop using drugs, are you now that you're clean going to go back and tell your guys, I'm clean, but you can continue to sell drugs? I think you're going to have a problem with that. So over the years, we saw many guys come into our program, come from the penal system, were sent to us from the penal system, that we were able to help. And in that process, we turned around and we built internally. We taught them how to take the negatives that were part of their lives and turn them into positives. We were able to take men who have been doing God only knows what and made them leaders in a positive way that made them hold these coming in accountable. So what the penal system could not do in their way, we were able to do in a way that benefited us. And in the process, we taught them how to not kill a person, not beat a person, but to talk to a person and say, you don't have to do that. That's wrong. And stand on it. I said, man, if you do that, you're violating it. And that helped a lot of young brothers who came to us that had no fathers. I became a surrogate father to a lot of guys that came to our program. And they respected me for that. And then, of course, I had no problem with sitting down and talking to them. I'm one of the CEOs. My door's open. Let's sit and talk. So many days I took off my hat, and I was counselor, I was therapist, I was father, grandfather to many of the guys that came through the program. So they developed a healthy respect for me, and in the process, they bought into our concept. They saw the vision, they saw where we were trying to go, and in turn, they turned guys around. And we developed a positive program. I wish to God that you have a session one day where I could bring some of these guys to the table and let them tell you their story about how New Beginnings changed their lives and what they're doing today.
I'm sure that it has. I can hear the passion by which you go to work, and I'm still going to advocate for the community. You say, yeah, well, if it wasn't for New Beginning and programs like New Beginnings, probably the kind of violence and the crimes that we see would continue to go on because of this word called, or escalate, shall I say, recidivism. So Rick Rivas is the enrollment expert. Rick, you bring them in?
No, I don't bring them in. I don't bring them in. I do their paperwork, which means when they come to the program, I get their backgrounds, where they come from, and their history. When I get the history, they put in a file, and the office manager here looks at it, as well as my CEO, Otis Williams.
Okay, here's what I was looking for. When I heard enrollment specialist, I thought that maybe you were recruiting. But here's what I'm concerned about, Mr. Williams, and that is that word called recidivism. Okay. Certainly the way that you say that they ought to treat each other and not force and be violent toward each other, they don't receive that while they're in prison.
No.
Reform does not take place in prison. And so the recidivism, the returning back to prison, is the thing that many of our viewing audience, members of the viewing audience, are concerned about. And that is that it is a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. The blood is flushing and running out because we can't fill that gap. We can't stop the violence from reoccurring. What type of success have you had to prevent recidivism?
Oh, we've had tremendous success. Our success rate will stack up with any major program, bar none. If you took percentage-wise, what we accomplish with that same population that other agencies who get millions of dollars do, we stack up very well. Over the years, we saw what we were able to accomplish, and we've tracked a lot of our people after they had finished to see if they returned to the penitentiary. Many of our people did not. We didn't have 100%, but we had a good solid 60% that we could say steered clear. Some people are prone And we need to understand some people are institutionalized. They feel more comfortable living in a penitentiary environment than living outside. When a person comes out of the penal system, it takes them anywhere from 30 to 60 days to reacclimate. We have to detoxify them from the penal system. The language, the fear factor, sleeping in a cell, eating, where they sit, baseline things, how to sit, any number of things that the normal person doesn't even think about. And when they come out, how to use a bus transfer, the public aid office, and things have changed, and they've been left behind over the years. So now we have to reacclimate them to a new environment. So we do those kinds of things. And keep in mind now, if a man comes out the penitentiary and doesn't have a bed to sleep in, has no food to eat, and no money, what is he going to do?
Rob, sell.
And end up going right back where?
To prison.
But we say we don't want recidivism. So what do? The community. Does the community say, hey, I ain't helping you?
But Otis, what about the issue of atonement? I know you want to hear about this issue of atonement. I know you want to hear about reconciliation. So tell us, George, what about atonement? What about the idea that they come back to the community and they atone for their sins and do something of substance inside of the community?
Well, I'm Shannon. I'll answer the question for you. We have, within the program, we have a group facilitator, like the clients go to for 1 hour out of the day and get a chance to express themselves, talk about the problems they might have within to get it out. And we try to work on that and mold that, shape it into a positive force within them. I think that's one of the methods that we use in trying to get them to atone themselves.
I'd like to reiterate something. What Mr. Wayne was talking about. We have alumni that's come back to the beginnings, that's been around since I've been around. And what Mr. Williams, the CEO, had inspired in all of us is to be compassionate towards him. Early in the show, it was something said that Mr. Morgan was here. If they're okay, they wouldn't be with us right now. So they're sick. And there's a lot of that were house coordinators that was climbed before we became house coordinators that learn how to love those individuals that's still sick. They learn how to be compassionate for that brother right there that's sick. They understand, rather to be understood, where they come from. A lot of times we call our alumni brothers in, they'll come back to the agency and have a one-on-one with those individuals. This was in my gut, so I just had to come out with this here because, see, I remember when I was out there. I've been clean 14 years. I remember going back and forth to the penitentiary. You asked me a question, what stopped you from going to the penitentiary? There's a poem they call I'm Tired of the Tears at Night. So I got involved in the beginnings in 1998. Either 96 or 98, somewhere around there. And I started learning how to deal with with our peoples that is sick, because I remember I was sick too. So Mr. Williams put something in my lap a long time ago. He put an application in my lap and he said, George, I want you to work with that. Social Security Administration applications. Because we had clients coming in from IDOC, off the streets, other agencies, hospitals, that has not had help with getting them their benefits back. And when he gave me that package, and I didn't really know what to do with it, but I just read it. He always said, read. And there was always a red ink pen. Just in case you missed something, he corrects and say, go back and do it again. And I'm saying this for myself is that I know where we're coming from. And I know what Mr. Williams, as the CEO, besides being a CEO, a friend, a father, uncle, whatever the case may be.
What do you say to the young people that are out there who haven't went down this path of being incarcerated in terms of prevention? What do you say to them? You've been there. You know how you got there. What do you say to them to keep them from going down that road?
I done already messed up for you. You ain't got to do it.
Enough messing up already, huh?
You ain't got to do it.
It's been done.
It's been done already.
But they look at themselves as being immortal, that they got all the time in the world to do all the wrong things and then correct them and learn how to be a father. They don't realize how they, early on, the things that they do destroy their lives for later.
Where are the models at? Where are the role models for them out there?
Daddy is not there. Uncle's not there. They're out there selling drugs, drunk, or they're gone. Mama's trying to raise them best she can. She's trying to work. She's trying to hold the house together. We don't have enough big brothers, mentors, willing to take these young men and become father figures for them. Take them on our jobs and work with them. I'm thinking of my nephew, and of course we were talking, I'm thinking of my nephew who's out there raising holy hell with guys smoking weed already. He's 15 years old, goes to a Catholic school. He's not a bad kid, but I'm trying to savage him. I told my brother, I said, listen, send him to me. When he gets out of school, send him to me.
On that note, we have just a few seconds remaining. I certainly want to thank all of my guests here, Shannon Williams, my brother to my left, George Carroll, Rick Rivas, and Otis Williams, the CEO of New Beginnings. My name is Shaka Barak. I am the president of the Marcus Garvey Institute. I'm sitting in for Morgan Carter, the world's conversation starter. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned as we continue to talk about issues that are important to you and new beginnings. Thank you.